I gotta tell you how God works because I was so frustrated yesterday. It was I was frustrated about a lot of like little things. Like it was just like things that were supposed to be lining up or things that I thought. And like, here's the thing. In my head, I know God has clearly said, you just have to wait. And I'm just like, okay, I'm waiting. Like this is great. We're just waiting. We're just waiting. And I was like, yesterday I was just frustrated. Like, and I finally just before, like towards the end of the day, I was like the end of my work day, I just like went into my prayer closet and I was like, Lord, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with this. And I want you to just move this faster. And so went to my friend's church has like a Wednesday night service once a month. And so we've gone the last several months. So me, a friend of mine, one of my daughters, and like we all just went up. So we go to her church and we went in and I was like, Lord, what are you going to say? And so we got there a little bit late and the worship was okay. And I was just like, okay, it's not hitting tonight. I'm like, oh, Lord, I really just hope that you're not making me wait and be frustrated through something else, like, because I'm annoyed. And then the pastor started talking. Okay. I'm just going to read you a handful of my notes. The entire sermon that he preached about was the fight for focus and the frustration in the waiting. And I was like, oh, is this for me? This is for me. Is this for me directly? What's crazy is it was also for one of my friends. Like she was like, "Oh, okay, this is hitting. This is absolutely it." I'm just going to read you a handful of the things that are in these notes. One, your tolerance for tension in the waiting determines your potential for growth. You know what my tolerance for waiting was yesterday? 0. It was like at a 0%. I was like, I want the next season of my life. I don't want this season of my life. And there that was. Um, Faith is frustrating. Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is. The enemy uses it to get you annoyed or aggravated with God. That was me. Absolutely. Frustration is fuel. If we weren't frustrated, sorry, my handwriting's terrible. I'm trying to read what I wrote. If we weren't frustrated, we would never move from where we are. It pushes you to get where he promised you to be. What else? Frustration is proof of your faith being exercised because if you weren't frustrated, then you wouldn't actually be showing that you had faith that God was bringing you where you were supposed to be. Now, a component of this is the idea that we are a spirit that lives in a body. Like that, we all know that. Like when you die, your spirit is what lives eternally, but we have this body and it's what carries us through earth. Like you are a spirit that grew a body, you were born, and here you are. And so, like, that's just it makes sense when we talk about we war against our flesh because our flesh, like our body is only destined for this earth. Like this is it. Like it's not really looking for anything eternal. So of course, we're going to war against that when we are trying to pursue God. And one of the things said is that your spirit can believe. Like your spirit can definitely believe, but it's your flesh that gets frustrated because it's like, but I'm living in this time. Like our flesh is time bound. So that's where we can get frustrated. Even we can trust the eternal process. We can trust providence. But our frustration usually ends up falling somewhere in the flesh. And that's what trips us up every single time. Um, and then he ended it with talking about focus and why focus is so important. And so one of the things he said is weariness grows where focus drifts. Valid. I also had to turn my notes sideways because I ran out of room. This is my notebook that I have for church. My kids call it my whiteboard because it's so big when I'm taking my notes. However, I like all my notes on just 2 pages. It's very easy to just go back and skim on things. Let me read my handwriting. I'll be right back. Second point, determine in your mind what God has promised is worth the wait. Yeah, I know. I get it. Like, I get that. But you know how annoying that is? Last point, anchor into God's faithfulness, not your feelings. You choose obedience even when it feels impossible. And so that is how I know when I'm on the right path. Because it's not like anything was resolved in that. Like, there wasn't anything that made me be like, oh, now I feel so much better. It was knowing that, like, okay, this is the right way. And it can be frustrating and it can be annoying and we can be just want to rush things up, but sometimes we have to wait for things and sometimes you need to wait for whatever that next thing is. And so I'm just really thankful for God's providence, and I'm also thankful for those times that we kind of break in our flesh and be like, I'm frustrated, I'm mad, like I don't know why. And perhaps it's the difference between like me not growing up in church and people who have grown up in church that had like this idea that like God would be mad at them if you like expressed your frustration with his plan. Like, look, he and I talk about it all the time. I bring this up on a regular basis where I'm like, I have plans too, and they don't seem to be working with your plans, or they're not jiving. We're not walking according to what the plans should be. And he's like, yeah, we are. They're my plans. Like, for I know the plans for you, say the Lord, plans to give you a future and a hope. Okay, okay, so that means my plans are off the table? Okay, cool, I just have to listen. Thumbs up. Um, and so, like, nothing was resolved in that, but there was great peace in it because it was like, "Oh, that's why I'm frustrated." Because his thoughts are not my thoughts, his ways are not my ways, and that's frustrating because that's what we yield. We yield our spirit, and that annoys our flesh. Anyway, so if you're frustrated, you're in good company. 'Cause I'm here's the thing, I'm still frustrated. I'm still annoyed, I still really want time to hurry up, but I also don't wanna wish my whole life away. It's fun being a human.